Hi everybody, this is RJ, and I'm going to show you how I made some tiles like this in Rhino. These look like they're made out of paper, and they were just probably cut by hand and folded and glued at the seam, it appears. So how do we go about doing this in Rhino? So I started off by making a 4x4 square, just in the top view here, and decided where I wanted to put kind of my center point by just sticking a point there. And then I grabbed a line and attached it to the corners like this of my square. Like so. So I have still my outside, and I have these inside curves that are pyramids, or triangles. Kind of looking back at this, it looks like these are different by just moving the center point of each triangle around and extruding it up. So that seems pretty easy. So what you can do here is explode this outside square. So I just have the edges, and join each of these edges with a triangle, or to make a triangle. Oops. Like so. So now I have 4 triangles. But if I go and I look at my perspective view here, it's all flat still, right? There's no depth. So what I want to do is be able to grab this middle point and drag it up. So if I just select like this and drag up, then I'm moving the whole thing. But there's something called control points in Rhino, which you can turn on, and the control points control the shape of the geometry at any point. So if I select all these and hit F10, you can't quite see it, but it looks like, so there's these little tiny points on the corners of things. I can also type points on, that's command, and it'll work. But you can see if I select the center point now and pull this up, then I'm actually controlling one of the control points for all 4 triangles. So that lets me make a pyramid easily. See that? So if I were to move it around, then I start to get this kind of offset pyramid, shifted pyramid, which is similar to what's shown here. So after that, what do? Well, I need surfaces to represent these faces. So if I hit escape, I get out of control points. And there's a point here, which I don't really need, but it's there to just visualize the top. And there's a command called planar surf that'll make a surface out of my triangle. So you can see it's one of the faces. So if I do that for each one of these, then I have a pyramid. There's not a bottom to it, there's no base, but that's okay. We don't care about that right now. So what I want to do then is prepare this for laser cutting. So see all these little lines on here? These are called isocurves. And we don't actually need those, so those will get in the way when we're preparing our file for laser cutting. So we want to go over here to the properties and turn off isocurves so we don't see those. And then what we want to do is join all these pieces together so we have something like this. Because what we want to do is essentially make this thing out of flat material, sheet material, in the laser cutter, like paper or cardboard. So to do that, you have to take a 3D object and unroll it. So I'm going to actually just move all of this up here a little bit. And select my poly surface and type unroll surf. And it's going to ask me for some options here. So I'll say explode no and hit enter. And you can see what it did now. So it took my surface, which was joined, and unrolled it. Made it flat. So it's as if I was pushing it down, cutting it at one of the seams and pushing it down flat. Turn off iso curves. So this is what you want to start with for laser cutting. And kind of walk through what I did to prepare this for laser cutting now. So after you make your surface like this, planar surf, you unroll it. After you do something like go here, you have your surfaces, and you hide the poly lines. You have to use a command called extract wireframe, and it'll extract this outline and these lines between the triangles. So you can see what I did here. I'm just going to make a copy of it, bring it over here. So if I select my surface, type extract wireframe, and then move what it extracted over, then I have this. These inside lines need to be put onto a layer that you would want to score. So that means you're going to lightly cut the paper or cardboard or whatever material you have, and not cut all the way through it, but just enough to mark it so you can bend it. And then these outside lines will become our cut lines. So I'll change the object layer for those. So I have red lines and blue lines indicating where I'm going to cut and where I'm going to score. And this is just a preference for using color mapping with a laser cutter. These could be any colors you want, but it's a good convention to follow. So the last step is when you're going to, after you cut this out and you're going to assemble something, you want to make sure you can attach it to the other side somehow. So there's a thing called a tab, and I'm just going to copy this tab over here. So I got to this tab by just using that command offset. So you can pick a curve, like this edge, and see the little black line. That shows you how far offset your new curve will be. So if I wanted a distance of 0.35, I can do that, and it'll be a little bit more offset when I make a new curve. So it's just offset, making a curve off of the curve I selected. So that's a good way to make a straight line, which you can then attach other lines to make kind of an angled line like this. And you need this tab if you're going to cut this out and attach this side to the underside here of this tab, of this fold. And that's how you'll get this kind of 3D shape. So you can use tape or glue or whatever to attach it. And make sure you join the curves before you laser cut, otherwise the laser cutter will jump around to different sections while it's cutting. And you might want one continuous curve for that to work. So that's how you make something like this for the laser cutter.